Yeah, I don't even know if I've brought up my quitting on the podcast. Or even like alluded to it.
I think you may have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I really went into detail though.
I think you were very drunk.
Yes.
I think
that might be a podcast that doesn't ever get released, even though you keep threatening to release it.
I think that's been released.
Yeah, I think we released it.
Oh yeah, I'm on.
I think we cut out a lot of the more repetitious shouting.
Well, thank you for that.
It was not an episode that was like about you. It was an episode that you were on
about someone else.
Yeah.
I remember the context.
And you definitely said a lot of stuff that we didn't include because we like you.
Why?
Well, we also like our audience. And a lot of that was hard to listen to. There was a certain point that like I just stopped cleaning up the audio for Beth.
Right.
Just skip forward and be like that. There's no reason to like try to clean these sentences up.
You know how people say game recognize game?
Sure.
Lame recognize lame, baby.
Yeah, touche.
I'm not laughing at that. You two can laugh at that together.
Just own your scumbagness. Just do it.
I'm just not signing off on lame recognize lame, man.
It rhymes.
It's the phrasing, not the...
It rhymes. He's got a point.
And I didn't come up with an adjective quickly enough, so I lose. That's just how talking works. So Zeno, friend of the podcast. Welcome to the podcast.
For the time being. We'll see. Have to say...
several minutes in, still friend of the podcast.
The paint job in here looks awesome.
Thank you.
It's way better than the last time I saw it.
When it was just drywall without even crud on it.
Yes.
Oh, man, Travis crudded up that drywall for like 2-3 days.
Did he? Oh, man, I'm no good at mud. I did it once or twice badly, and then I just decided it just wasn't that important. Like, I don't care if you can see the screws. It's drywall. Who cares?
I understand the importance of it for the seams. As much as I know that, like, if somebody needs a caulk job done, I'm the man for that job. But, like, I'm not doing that to drywall. I'll do that to tile. I'll do that to windowsills. I'll do that to doors. But not joints.
All right.
And that's what I have to say about caulk.
Well, that's not what you said before.
You're
You did
not into caulk jobs
before.
for joints, is what you're saying.
Well, you didn't bring out joints.
There's always been joints every time I've
the best thing about editing this podcast is like taking out the punchline,
right,
which didn't hit, so like the whole thing hits that much worse.
Worsely?
More worsier.
Yes.
Fewer.
So Zeno, you're not Burning Man's anymore.
I'm not Burning Man's anymore. It doesn't mean that I won't be in the future, but maybe in a drastically different role. And I've had a lot of people actually ask me via email, which is basically like a Twitter direct message, if you're not familiar with email.
It's kind of like shouting a message into a bottle and then corking the bottle and then leaving it on the street corner with your name on it and saying,
and then
get back to me on that.
And then a hobo finds it. I've had people ask why I'm no longer employed with Burning Man as a shade assistant manager. And there's a couple like specific things. One is that it was hugely stressful and I was putting a lot of my emotional energy into it, which is what I wanted to do. Like taking care of the crew and making sure that they were shielded from some of the upper bullshit.
It's a thing worth owning.
Yeah.
You wanted to do the work. You didn't necessarily want to take on the
business. I didn't want the work to get done badly. And a lot of times that's when I just start doing the work, even though I don't particularly want to, because it would hurt me more if it was done wrong. So one of the things that really set me off was, well, just overall, just the work just got bigger every year, and we didn't have any sort of input in either the budgeting process or the approval process of what got built. So as managers, me and Art kind of didn't know what was being plated up for us. And when we asked to give input, we're told, oh no, we've already had that meeting a year ago. Like, our budget is set like literally during the event for the next year, which is a ridiculous way to run an organization, I think. Just on our end.
Even if you do run it that way, like have the temerity to lie to people's faces and let them believe that you have a better plan than the not plan you have.
Right. And one thing that me and Art and Bustin' Dustin did was decide that the depot was a structure that needed to be retired. And and I asked,
a solidly executive decision.
We retired it. It was a beautiful day. It was a tribute to Shooter, and we just decided that we were going to run over the structure with the giant Ford 750s that we had for fleet vehicles. Mm-hmm. And I notched all the 4x4s, saw where the oil pans were on the trucks, and made sure that the 4x4s sticking up wouldn't hit anything. Like we did it correctly, knocked it over, and all the people that knew that we were going to do this, like there was a radio call that was just like a coded message about extra moop towards the depot. And so a bunch of people showed up, and then we did it, and then Coyote came just racing up, veins bulging out of his forehead, and screamed at me that the last person that did that got fired. And I was like, yeah, I know, he was a friend of mine. And so previously, the depot would take literally like our most experienced people in shade 7 days to build at the beginning of the season, which is really hard to like train new people when all of your experienced people are doing this one individually made thing. All the wood is twisted in specific ways such that it can only fit in like, one way. And the new design we managed to get up in 2 days with half the amount of people. And they wouldn't have let us do that if we hadn't just done it.
Right.
So I feel like we have some good input and can make things more efficient. I'm a very efficiency-minded person, and that just wasn't going to fit in with that. But what they did was we had about 181 structures to build, and a lot of times we'll get done like maybe 2 or 3 days before, but we'll just make it really slow so that they don't see that we're done and just add more. It's like, oh, wait, what? You're done? Yeah, well, we could do this, this, and this. But we actually got to the point of the event, and like I got to tell all the volunteers, hey, you're free, just do whatever the fuck you want. I don't need to see your face again until like the day after the event. Like, go have fun. And then I heard a radio call for Art because he was the manager, so he interfaced with the other managers. I was the assistant manager, so I interfaced with crew, and then we kind of met in the middle. And so I went up to the private channel on the radio just to listen in, because I always do.
Oh, it's the best.
And
so naughty. You're supposed to not.
I know.
Well, don't announce to everybody that you're going over to chat.
Yeah.
I bet I can switch over to chat before you do.
Yep.
Like, you're talking about going to chat. I'm already there.
Yep. So I go up there, and I forget exactly who was the person that was laying the bad news on Art, but they're like, yeah, we're going to need one more structure built outside the fence. And there's only one thing that exists outside the fence.
That everyone event, right? the free Burning Man that you have to pay to go to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's police. And what they wanted was a 24 by 36 structure that was lower to the ground. So a different design with sidewalls on it. And what it was going to be was a kennel for dogs, for cops.
Oof. To arrest us with?
To arrest the volunteers that would be building it during the event after I told them that they were free to go.
That sounds so good. That's such a fair deal.
It's amazing that anyone even thought that was going to be met with a, yeah, okay.
Oh, for the cops. Well, let us get back into our trucks.
The cops, you say?
The first time that they made us build Cop Shade, we did, their design was ridiculous. I don't know if you know much about the desert and how the sun works, but they had 14-foot tall 12 by 12 shade.
14-foot tall 12 by 12.
So it's a tiny square.
Yeah.
And very high.
And the sun is not directly due up.
No. Not
ever.
Even at noon?
Not even at noon. It's not even directly up. So it was going to do nothing. And they wanted us to build it
4x4 traveling shadow.
Yeah, exactly.
You just got to follow along.
And like,
I like that they gave you the specifications, though. That's par for the course for cops thinking that they can do more than just cop.
Look, they needed it to be 14 foot tall so they could get their 10-gallon hats underneath comfortably.
It was so that it was over the stairs that go up into those portable office, the standing huts. And so it had to be high enough to be standing on the stairs, coming out of the door into shade.
Why walk through the sun into your shade?
I don't know. But it was like, no, this is a deal breaker, dying on this mountain.
Not all cops are pale, but a lot of cops are real pale, you know?
And so, like,
do any cops listen to this podcast still?
Probably.
Any cops listening to this podcast anymore?
You have to tell us. You have to tell us if we ask.
Yeah, you have to tell us if you're class traitors if we ask you.
Yeah, officer, if you are listening to this podcast, unsubscribe or send us all the drugs you stole.
Do you know how hard it is to have fucking solidarity with you low-wage workers? Like, hard enough so I can't. That's how hard it is.
I have met cool cops.
I've met cool tech bros and cool venture capitalists.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean fuck them.
My favorite interaction, side story, at Seattle, there's this little rave that some friends of mine threw, and cops ended up getting called and showed up and, like, shut it down. And they were like, okay, yeah, but, like, if you're here as, like, an official capacity to, like, clean stuff up, you can stay, but everyone else has to go. And so this official that had thrown this rave, and it wasn't even really a rave, it was a Burning Man kind of, there's separate rooms for, like, I don't know, cuddling. And
we used to call them parties.
Yes. And she was talking to him, like, why are you shutting this down? Like, we've only been, like, going for, like, 2.5 hours. You did all this work. Like, nobody's hurting anyone. There's no safety issues. And the cop's like, look, I don't want to be a buzzkill. And she's like, then why are you a cop?
Yeah.
and the cop had no comeback. He just looked down and sad.
Yeah, you don't want to be but you wanted to serve and protect, didn't you, buddy? And yet you're here shutting us down because you think we should have gotten a permit.
Yeah.
I've made a huge mistake.
So we're on this chat channel, channel 8. I'm not supposed to be on there. But
you're a saucy lad.
I'm a little saucy. And so he's like, yeah, so I don't know. You don't need all the volunteers, but, like, you know, whatever you need for a 24 by 36, which is going to be, 7 people. And at the minimum. And I pop in and was like, well, we've already told them they can go, so maybe you should just try the Home Depot parking lot in Reno. To which there was radio silence for a while. Uh-huh. And then Art came in and said,
come back.
Well, that just happened. And I made a beeline for camp and told all the volunteers there, hey, if anyone asks you to do anything this week, I want you to remember that as volunteers, you're actually the most powerful part of this equation. Mm-hmm. You can refuse to do anything.
Yeah, this is
like you're giving us a gift by working for Burning Man. So, like, if someone asks you to do something you don't want to do, you absolutely do not have to do it, and don't let anyone gaslight you into thinking that they have any sort of power over you. So it didn't get built, which is nice. Yeah,
that's poor sunburned people.
Well, not by us.
Well, I had people come up to me at, like, after that and be like,
we were hot out there.
But the dogs, what about the dogs? I was like, if the police cared about those dogs, they'd be in a fucking suite at the Peppermill in Reno. Right? They'd have air conditioning if they cared about the dogs. They're the ones that brought them out here.
Those dogs aren't out here for them.
They're
to be
a tool
good
to
boys.
take away your fucking liberties right now. So no,
like
no sympathy for the dogs.
For years, for nothing.
Those dogs are an allegation.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they also don't work very well.
Yeah, they're
most things cops do. They have convinced society at large that they do them very well, but forensics and drug dogs do not work very well.
And it's been an incredibly effective con because bomb dogs actually work pretty good. So do cadaver dogs. Those are really
bombs
great.
And cadavers smell very specifically, unlike plant.
Well, even if the dogs did, I mean, I do think they can probably smell drugs very well, but they also want to make the cop that's bonded with them happy.
Yes.
And if the cop gives them a signal that, like, hey, if you do this thing, I'm going to bet you
get a treat.
Like, they will alert.
Absolutely.
I can make my dogs bark whenever I want.
Cadaver dog, bomb dog, they know that there's nothing in it for them if they bark and there's no dead body or explosive in there. Drug dogs, they get the good boy no matter what. You see a hippie, you sit down, good dog. Good dog.
For just some bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
if nothing else, the cop can pop your trunk and scrape off a bit of whatever white powder happens to be in your car trunk, because there's always something in your car trunk.
is there?
Sure.
Nothing white. Like battery terminals.
Yeah,
Yes.
battery terminals. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Or like paint.
You just have a dime bag full of
Mold.
acid from your battery terminal just in the back of your trunk for the cop to find.
Like-
put on their finger, rub on their
Yeah,
thumbs.
yeah. Just touch their tongue to it a little bit.
D-Day, have you ever had a vehicle that didn't have some kind of like cement dust or drywall powder loose in it?
You know the answer to that.
if
The
you-
answer
if
is
you
no.
are-
I don't appreciate the hostile lawyer. Hostile lawyer.
All I'm saying is you're a piece of shit cop, there's drugs in that car.
Yeah, you can find something.
Damn.
So the other thing that the org did that really didn't sit right with me, they had this like meeting, and all of the paid people in Shade had to attend right after work, which I felt is a bad look when you're sitting as a crew, and yes, a lot of people are volunteers, but some people are getting paid and some people aren't. And so when all the people are getting paid, like, get up and leave to go to a thing, probably a little demoralizing. Or just, I mean, everyone knows it, but like, it's just shitty.
Yeah, it is. Having especially a tier that stark
Yeah.
is very demoralizing, and I would go so far as to say dehumanizing.
Yeah. So what the meeting was about is that the org wanted to trial a thing that they were going to do, which is
I'm so glad it's not an actual trial, because like I had my fucking stomach clench for a second.
so they get us to this meeting, and it's like us and like two other crews, but Shade is by far like the largest crew represented there. I think Man Base or Man Build, one of them.
Build base.
Yeah.
Man.
Man.
Build a base.
Oh, it'd be so cool if Man were at your meeting.
Build a man. And they're like, hey, so we want to do this thing just so we can kind of like get things under control and kind of figure out compensation and things. We're going to have everyone that's paid clock in and then clock out for lunch and then clock back in and then clock out at the end of the day. So we're going to roll this out to everyone, but we figured that because Shade Crew runs like such a machine, like you guys could probably do this like really well.
And this is what they decide after you've set everyone's off shift?
Oh, no. So this happened before the other one.
Oh, okay.
Same year, though.
Right.
But they're like, yeah, we want to roll this out. We already have the machines. Like, you just go up and you punch in like a code, and we'll have it like at the commissary, because like everyone goes and gets breakfast. So you just like clock in at breakfast, go about your day, and then you come to lunch and you clock out and then you clock back in. And I was like, another person at the meeting, like not immediately, but like really early in the meeting was like, I'm leaving. And I was like, if you implement this, you're taking away like a giant part of my recruitment. Like the people that come here and want to do Shade, like it's a really hard job. We finally won the competition with Spires. Spires said ours is the hardest. They conceded that point. So our crew is the hardest working crew. If you, make the volunteers watch the people that are paid punch in and out, it's going to demoralize them. Also, making us do it in front of all the crews, like at commissaries, like really just highlighting a weird class system. And it's going to be harder for me to recruit people to volunteer if this exists and if this has the image that you're doing. And this woman who was HR, who I'd never met before, walked up and put her hands on her knees and leaned down so that she was at the same level as me and said, I hear you.
That is not the way to get anywhere with you, Zeno.
Well, and it was just like such obvious, like, wow, how long have you been in HR? You just read a pamphlet, didn't you? Like, this is the words that you say, and you have to make a connection with the people to convince them to do the thing. Like, no, you actually don't hear me.
Hey, you are present.
Yes, you're valued.
Let's just take a step back and admit that we're both people and we have opinions, and those opinions are valid. Like, but I'm not willing to go that last step with you, though.
Yeah, and so a few of the people on Shade were like, "Oh, we're not going to do that." And so they never did it. The same as the kennel thing, but just the fact that they were asking demoralized me. And also specifically that year, my mom was having like a really crazy mystery illness wherein she would like lose track of what she was saying halfway through a sentence. She would just fall down randomly. And she takes care of, she fosters dogs. And so she'll, go out for dog walks like 2-3 times a day. And at one point she fell in the middle of the street and there was no one around and she couldn't get up. And she had told me about this and I was super worried. I'd visited a couple times and then I'm like in the desert. And after these two things happened, I'm like, I don't know if my vision of what I'm doing here is comporting with
what I'm doing here.
Right. And like my mom can't reach me right now. Like, think I need to go. It seems more important for me to go take care of my mom or at least be like available to her should she need to call me. And what really drove it home was that she's gone through a couple phone numbers. And so I went to like call her at one of the points where I had service and went through and my phone, I had like copied contacts and got a new phone and it was the old number. So I called my mom to see if she was okay. And this dude answered and said, what? Who is this? And I was like,
I'm your son.
Do you know Kathy? And he's like, and just hung up. And I was like, wow, I don't even have her phone number right now. I'm such a shitty son right now. This is terrible. And so I was like really conflicted. I got people kind of set up on the teardown, got everyone trained so they knew, when you pull the 4x4 out of the ground, you let it fall forward so that you can see where the tip of the 4x4 is going. You don't let it fall backwards onto your shoulder because you don't know who's behind you and you're going to crush someone's head. So many people do it. They're like, it's just easier this way. I'm like, you don't see what's behind you. Those things are heavy. Don't do it. Got it to the point where like I felt like they could just handle it because it's just a really repetitive job. I don't really have to manage them. And then I had like a big kind of crisis blowout the day before my birthday, and a very kind friend decided that she would give me birthday blowjobs. And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, let's do that. And went to...
It is my birthday.
Yeah. I was like, I didn't ask for that, but sure. And I ended up spending like 24 hours in Easygoing's trailer because I didn't want to go back to Shade, and I was not showing up for work the next day. Heard some radio chatter of like people looking for me. I've done this a couple times where I just don't show up and then people get super worried because I do stupid shit. So I'm naked, but like I have a kimono, but like it's mostly off my shoulders, and we're eating charcuterie, and I hear the radio chatter. Zeno didn't come to work. And
he seems pretty upset about having to do work for the pigs.
So they track me down eventually. And so Art comes, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with these people. And so Easygoing's like, don't worry about it. And he puts on...
and is this Art from Spunk's house, or is this a different Art?
Oh, yeah, no, that's Art.
I didn't realize that Art
I actually got him that place. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I didn't realize that Art lived.
Yeah. The whole fucking web of Burning Man in this room, Okay, and, please continue. That's been bugging me the whole fucking story.
Sure, I thought you knew.
I knew that he was in DPW and maybe at some point was in Gate, but I didn't realize he was like...
What really sucks is that we were both crew leads, and we both had glasses, and we both had mohawks on the same crew. And so I would get called Art a lot, and he would get called Zeno a lot, and it bothered both of us more than it should have because we're friends.
You also there is like a resemblance beyond that.
Oh, I know.
You two favor each other.
Yeah, and we both hate that is real, but it is. So whatever.
Yeah, some things are true.
There's even a little bit of like affectual overlap. I don't know if that's
no. I think even the voice and we are both computer nerds in certain ways. Yeah, no, there's a lot similar about us, and like
you're a lot more brash than Art.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know
which
about
is why
looks or what people are.
Which is why he dealt with the management and I dealt with the crew.
That makes
When we put this plan together, we were like, we're just not even going to let the org put out the call for managers. We're just going to be like, you're not going to do that. We're going to do this. And they said, oh, yeah. Yeah, let's do that. So Art comes and... Sorry, before that, we know that someone's on the way. And so Easygoing puts on a purple sequined mini skirt, gets mini disco balls and baling wire, and hangs them from his own balls such that they're down around his knees.
But like the wire is going around his balls.
Yes. The wire's holding the disco balls
Easygoing.
via his
if
balls.
you're listening to this, like we could have interviewed you. Easygoing.
Oh, he's dead.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
He passed.
No, that's
last
right.
Year.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
nasty.
literally
fire
the
accident.
first day of my new job. As I was moving out of the Vulcan.
No, that's right. That was on Playa. Oh my God.
We can talk about him later. He was a really good friend.
Yeah, we might as well not cut this out.
Sure.
Okay.
But my last night on Playa was with him, and he was a roommate, and he was a really good friend. But he also had this the weird battery powered alien gun that you'd like pull the trigger and things would spin around and go wee 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 wee. And then he also got
dollar store gun.
Yeah. And then he also put the matching purple sequined bikini top on, but then like had stuffed animals stuck in it, such that his breasts were furry. And he's like, when they come to get you, I'm gonna answer the door because this is my house. And so Art knocks on the door, and Easygoing opens it up, points the gun, and goes pew wee 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 wee. And Art
Good
is
things that wasn't the cops, or they'd light you up.
Yeah. I mean, not out there, but Easygoing really was like the king of that kingdom. Like nothing would get there without people being like, you don't go there. And so Art was like, is here? And I'm like, yeah, I'm here. Come on in. He's like, no, you come out. And I was like, no, you come in here. We have charcuterie.
Yeah,
you want to
don't
chat?
Understand? I'm doing a bit.
Right. And I'm naked and have a teddy bear covering my crotch just because I feel like being fully naked might be disrespectful at this point. And I'm like, well, you can come in here or we're not going to talk. And he's like, well, but, and I'm like, I don't know what to say, man. I can tell you what's going on, but you have to come in. And Easygoing is just sitting there with his gun, just like sashaying his hips a little bit. So Art leaves, and then so it gets bumped up at that point. So Wrench comes out, and he's like, I don't know, 2 bosses above or whatever. The org chart has always been a little bit fuzzy with me. So Wrench comes in, knocks on the door. Same deal, Easygoing, pew, pew, pew. And Wrench is like, hey, yeah, nice outfit. And I was like, come on in. We got some charcuterie. He's like, don't mind if I do. Comes right in, sits down. We give him some meat and cheese. I tell him I'm feeling like shit. I don't like what had been asked to do, and I don't like the direction that's going on. And my mom's really sick, and I feel like a shitty son. And he said, that sucks. Have a good trip. Do you need any help? And I was like, well, I don't need any help. He's like, no, it's fine. Like, we'll get someone to like help you load your truck. Like, you're going through a thing. And so they did. They like got someone that like for that day they helped me load my truck, and I left. So 2 very different management styles there. I much prefer Wrenches.
To be fair, we all know Art. You were putting a lot on his plate right there.
To be fair, it was my idea for him to be manager and me to be assistant manager.
Right? He was supposed to have to deal with the people above him.
Yes.
Not the person below him.
Yes.
You were putting poor Art on a spot.
He didn't have to come over there.
Sometimes, I mean, there are some of us that, like, if you're going to stay in our orbit, you're going to have to understand that sometimes we are going to be in imposition.
Yep.
And some of us may... Some of us may be in this room right now, and thank you, Rex, for your service to helping me keep my job for, like, fully an additional 7 months.
Thank you for circling back.
You're welcome. But you got to know that, like, if you're coming over here to fire me, you might have to see my dick in a stuffed animal. I get that. I'm not proud of it, but I also didn't do it.
Would do again.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Honestly,
So anyway,
if you're gonna quit, that is a classic.
It was pretty epic. Everyone that was there was like, okay, well, this one was real. Like this, okay. Not forgetting this one.
Yeah.
I've definitely gotten an email before, and then I just never saw the person. This is unique. And so my mom turned out to be fine. She's continued having issues and went to literally 5 different doctors and finally a neurologist. There's nothing wrong with her brain. And it turns out that the antidepressant that she's been on for 30 years was giving her those side effects.
Fuck.
And when she switched off of it, she got perfectly better.
Man, those early antidepressants,
It was weird.
they were not very sophisticated.
No. Well, this wasn't an early one.
Well, she's been on it for 30 years.
Yeah, it's not like early 70s shit, but late 80s
It's not
shit
lithium.
isn't much better. Yeah.
It's not lithium, but man, Prozac was a fucking blunt
Sledgehammer. Yeah.
It's all weird.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, like nobody knew in those days you could just do ketamine.
I know, right? Dude, I'm so functional 2 weeks after ketamine. Even if it's a little bit.
The energy and perspective that you bring, I think, is such an important representation of our culture, an important feature of our culture and flavor in our culture. And I would be so interested in how you would tackle work that's outside of the scope of what you've been up to.
Well, it's the same thing that I do in my professional life. Like, I wait tables. I could absolutely be a manager. I could have been a general manager at this point if I had like gone for it, years ago. I don't want to do that. One thing, waiting tables pays
like to not
better
make
than
money?
being a manager. Like, I always tell people, like, if a manager is involved, like, oh, that's below my pay grade. I don't deal with it. Send the manager. And so, but I'm there and I have much more of a connection to the people I'm working with who may legitimately need coaching and value it. Whereas if I was in a managerial role, they may not be able to take my coaching in the same way. And I feel like that's actually what I brought a lot to in Shade, because I was a crew lead for a while, which isn't a manager. It's just someone that knows what's going on. And I'd be fine to just be out there and be around because it is helpful. And if you're not in a position of authority, it's way easier to talk to someone, especially if they've been around for a while. And I have the wealth of knowledge. I have the empathy to try to solve people's problems as best I can. So roustabout for me.
So Ranger, you say?
I've got to take a leak.
You came back with no beer and no pot.
Oh, I went in to take a leak and get some beer, and I spent the last however long I've been gone cleaning up dog diarrhea all through the house, and I don't know how we're going to afford more paper towels.
I had just let both those dogs out.
They might have to sleep out in the yard tonight.
I think they're going to have to sleep out in the yard tonight.
Money hasn't been as good recently.
It's a rough period.
Dude, it's a rough period at all. I mean, they opened during COVID for takeout only. Like their plans got just fucked.
Yeah.
And the chef has left. So and in like the weirdest, most dumb way, he just didn't show up, and the other two owners were like, he's not the chef anymore. And we were like, okay, is he gonna say bye? No, he's not. He's going to like come by. You might see him. He's going to pick up some of his stuff. And yeah. And so my thing was, I'll give them a year. We're going to get a second car, and I'm going to get my sommelier pin. And then we'll adjust and see what happens. And that comes up at June 15th.
Right.
When Easy Going died. Yeah, Sheena came to pick me up after work, and she's like, I have bad news. I'm like, I'm kind of stressed about work. And she's like, well.
Yeah, that's probably half why I don't remember.
Because
It's my boy's birthday.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I found out, but I was also, like, dealing with a cake.
Other stuff that is actually, like,
like present.
Life growing rather than ending. A little more important to nurture that part. Well, and I had been mourning Garth for the better part of a year before it actually happened. So, being a roommate,
on the tight part of the downward spiral, was he?
oh yeah, it was just really sad. just to see like someone drowning and like you reach your hand out and they just don't even grab it.
Yeah, there's a step past slapping it away.
Yeah.
They don't even notice. Yeah.
And yeah, I could go into details, but like he left all of his shit at the warehouse, and I wanted to make sure it was all taken care of. So I put it together, like sorted shit out.
Yeah.
Got everything out of his room, put stuff in bags, like put it aside, and then he had his coma. Fell out of a tree, evidently. That's the most details we get from that, but I'm pretty sure it was speed in Sebastopol with homeless people. Not that homeless people are inherently bad, but these were the people that chose speed over housing. And that is a choice that some people make. That's okay. And he got out of his coma, went to Oklahoma. His sister took care of him for months and months and months. We'd sent money to her. I was in communication with her about got his stuff. Want to make sure that, when he was ready and healthy to come back and take his stuff, that it would be there for him. And he finally got to the point where he was going to travel alone. Like he did some physical therapy and came out. And I was like, hey, I can pick you up from the airport. And the Oakland airport is super close to the Vulcan. And he's like, no, I'm going to walk. And so he literally like walked down the railroad tracks to meet up with his homeless buddies and score. Like on his way to, and I was like, hey, you can stay here. Like this is your home. Absolutely. Like, we want you to heal. You've been through a lot. Coma. I can't even fucking imagine.
Right.
He had some like mobility issues too. So, and yeah, he showed up and like asked me if I could get him cocaine and like just all the shit. And I was like, no, dude, no. Yeah. And I was like, look, here's get your shit sorted in like 2 weeks. There's a storage unit, literally 3 blocks away, High Street Bridge. It's family owned. It's awesome. I've used them before.
It's got the coolest frontage.
Yeah. No, I love that place. They're fucking awesome. I had to get them to cut a lock, and the dude that did it just was like, I was like, oh my God, you're the best character for this role. How did you do this?
And you just found this place to work at.
Yeah.
With some bolt cutters. That's amazing, dude.
Born, conceived, and raised in a storage shed myself.
Dude, I swear to God, this guy had lived his whole life there. Just the dirtiest hands, like longest nails, just bolt cutters and an angle grinder. He's like, yeah, which one is it?
Yeah, we'll get it open. It's like, I know you will. I was questioning that.
And so I was like, yeah, like I have, my pickup truck, load stuff up. Like I'll help you get it to the storage unit. But like, this is our house and you don't live here. So like it's taking up space that we can be living in for stuff.
Yeah.
And he stayed for 2 weeks and then left the key on the stove and ghosted. I left. So all the stuff I had put like under the stairs, and he pulled it all out into the middle of the floor
and left you the key and left.
And then like picked a few things and just left.
Lovely. Charming.
And so I put it all back under the stairs, and then I loaded it all up, got it into a storage unit, and was like, okay, I paid for 2 months. Here is the number to call. I will not pay after the 2 months, and they will take it all, but all your stuff is there. And then he died. And then I was like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'll get all of his stuff to his sister. And so again, like it's like the 6th time I've moved his stuff.
I will call the number.
Right?
The problem for mourning for your friends as
you have to do some pain in the ass shit for them.
Yeah. They don't go without just handing you a ration of shit.
Yep. And yeah, once he left my place, he just went up to Oregon and he showed up to a place. I had some friends there, and they're like, oh, it's going to be so good to see Easy going again. He's been, in the coma. He's been in Oklahoma. Like, haven't seen him in a long time. I hope he's doing well. We really want to like greet him and like help nurture him. And he just like shows up driving too fast, slams on the brakes, comes out of the car with a beer in his hand. And like the thing that he kept saying was like, yeah, I'm free like the wind. Like stress free. He was a terminal optimist. He was always nice, always kind. You could do no wrong. But if you told him that he was doing wrong, oh God, because like he wouldn't do that to you.
Right.
And I think that was kind of his defense.
Was
was like,
Yeah.
he would accept whatever you did with a smile so that you didn't have a right to ever question anything he was doing. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion, and it may sound harsh, but
it's some addict shit. That's the problem with having like really clear eyes on your friends who use something in one way or another too much. Like
he'd had like 3 interventions at that point too.
yeah,
Just
it's not
refused to hear each
necessarily
one.
unforgivable, but like there's some things that, you know, if you're going to lend that $500, like you need to know that like you're giving it to someone who's going to do some addict shit with it. And if you can afford that, that's fine. Like that can clear your conscience for a while. But like you can't be upset after you've like enabled an addict to do some addict shit. It's a part of that disease and what certain substances do to certain people's brains. Like there's a feedback loop there. These chemicals are meant to fit into actual receptors that
we
do
have the
stuff in your
receptors.
head. Yeah. We have the receptors and we have an analog of those chemicals.
I mean, we were wearing a tight dress. Like it's totally understandable that some drug is going to come rape our brain.
Yeah, well, you know, gasoline fuels that engine, and you can shove nitro in with that gasoline, and it'll still fuel that engine.
Well, and it sounds like he was pretty polymorphous, perverse with his substance abuse.
Oh, it was anything.
Yeah.
No, what happened was, you know, we were all having fun there, but you know, one night we were, you know, doing ketamine, and he's like, "Well, I'm not going into work tomorrow. I'll just quit." I just picked up the phone. We're like, no, whoa, no, maybe go to sleep. Like, that's fine. It's just a party.
You don't have to go to work tomorrow, but like you could also have a job on Tuesday.
Like, it's just a party. We'll have another one. Like, go to bed. And he's like, no, I'm quitting. And then he discovered speed and told one of our other roommates, like, I've been spending so much money on cocaine. Like, speed is a bargain.
This is really going to fix everything.
Yeah,
for me,
this
guys.
is the one. And when I heard that, I was like, well, you know, when we all moved in, like, some of the ground rules that we actually did lay out was no heroin and no speed. Like, no crack. And that doesn't make me comfortable. And then, you know, a week and a half later, he sent us all an email that said he thought it was time to go and just left. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't, yeah.
Like, it's not a value judgment. It's there are some substances that will grab you by the fucking neck and take you along.
Right.
Yeah, speed is so goddamn wild. Like, and it's crazy that all that damage comes not so much from the drug itself, but from
the activities around it,
the exhaustion, the lack of sleep, like
the appetite suppressant. Like, dude, you need sleep and food and water. And when you're having a really good time, really high, you don't do those things.
Yeah. It doesn't matter like how clean Provigil is.
Right.
You go psychotic when you haven't slept for a week. Like psychotic enough to just dump your entire payload and turn around and go back because your body's like, no, whatever you're doing is stupid. Go home, don't die. Yeah, I had a friend who I moved to the Bay Area with who one day was like, I've been saving so much money not buying weed. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. What are you going to do with that money? He was like, I've been using it for methadone. And I was just like, wait a minute. What? Isn't that like almost none of the high and like much worse for your body? And he was like, I don't know about any of that, but it's pretty great. And I'm like, I'm almost positive it's not. But yeah, we don't talk.
It's amazing. I've never heard of someone just skipping the heroin part.
Oh, well, you know, he was like canvassing for Greenpeace.
Oh,
I don't
man, you know what's
how that
so fucking awesome? Nicorette.
these patches.
I'm getting such a buzz and a rash.
I've been saving so much money on Jawbreakers and mini thins by going straight to the Nicorette.
D-Day, you don't work for Burning Man anymore.
No,
I don't know why.
I don't work for Burning Man anymore because I worked for Burning Man for 9 years. And
I did 18.
And
No,
you ought to, but you didn't do 18 in one position. And I did 9 years from start to end.
It was mostly
in one position.
It's
My
fine
title
as long
changed
as it's,
midway
like,
through.
on your back. It's when it's 9 years on your hands and knees. That's when it gets a
Yeah.
little stiff.
I mean, you've heard thrusting every time. Like sometimes you just need a break.
Yeah, at least
Gotta
give it
hydrate.
a wiggle halfway through. Yeah, it was too much for too long, and I don't think it's healthy for people to have positions of authority over other people for an extended period of time.
You were getting power mad.
I wasn't.
The pogroms
but
were starting.
I wasn't getting power mad, but I used to be very excited
in
about my job.
First 6 hours.
I used to like emailing people. I used to like helping them with their problems. I used to like teaching them how to like be a volunteer for the cafe and how to give to this project in the way that we do. And God, like 4 or 5 years in, I realized that like
You're
I
answering
needed
the
to
same questions over and over.
Yeah, I needed to like foster someone else to take this position, and then it took like 4 or 5 years for me to do so. And now I just want to be a guy with a radio who can call my friends when I'm not on shift.
That's why it's supposed to be the first decision you make.
So you're gonna try to get a position with the radio, or are you just gonna steal one?
Oh, I just have a position with I have an undefined, untitled position of being.
So one of
He
the
didn't really
on
quit.
call in some
He
way.
just
I
stepped
stepped
back
down.
from his role, and now he just comes to some meetings.
Like, I'm not getting paid. I come to some meetings. I don't prepare for them.
so you're a lead.
I'll be some sort of crew
yeah,
lead or
he's
something.
lead level or maybe even VC level.
It
If
sounded
I'm
to me like
VC
it was a
level,
little
I
bit
demand
more-
$250 to $300 per year.
Yeah. I don't know. I felt guilty about the money that I was getting. I spent most of it on swag for crew because I didn't need it.
Yeah, man. So I have this design that I'm bringing to the playa this year, and right now I'm not sure if the design itself is anti-racist enough to be obviously anti-racist, or if I need to add some font to it.
It's a tough
If
road
it's
to
a
hoe.
flag, like I need to design it well enough so there's no words on the flag, because flags don't get words. But if it's a patch, like maybe we can have a fuck racism on there or not. But when you're playing around with the Confederate flag symbol, you need to make sure it's an explicitly anti-racist Confederate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I was playing David Allen Coe at the DPW Saloon, and these two guys came in and they had, SS pins and iron crosses.
Well,
And I was like, no. This is the sexist David Allen Coe, not the racist David Allen Coe. I don't play those.
yeah, you don't understand. We also play Blind Willie here.
Right.
And we will whip your ass with our belts if you don't get the fuck out.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it was just me and one other chick who didn't quite know what was going on. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I got a fucking Leatherman on my belt. I'll just make do with that if I have to.
One Leatherman and one neck means you only need to deal with one guy.
That's true. They were gracious about it once they figured out. I moved all the booze off the bar and said, sorry, this is actually a crew bar, and I went and turned the music off. And they're like, so you won't give us booze? I was like, no, this is just for staff. This is for people that work here. And they're like, all right, well, mind if we sit? I was like, yeah, I kind of mind. And they're like, well, all right, we're going to head out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Much the same.
Thank you for being such polite racists.
I just don't know why they were at Burning Man. Like, I don't...
Because Burning Man happens in Nevada.
Well, yeah,
And
but
Nevada
like,
is very close to Oregon.
Direct message to anybody in earshot of this podcast. Burning Man is radically inclusive. Everybody is invited. If you're a fascist and you let us know that you're a fascist at Burning Man, get the fuck out. And you're no longer fucking invited.
But you can totally not be a fascist anymore if you are a fascist right
the
now.
officials will sell you a ticket and you can show up, but the participants get to experience their own event that might involve what we call a boot party.
Just might. You know, that's a really big desert.
Yeah.
Things will never be discovered if they're left far enough out.
It is hard to dig a hole, but we do have heavy equipment.
It is not that hard to dig a hole.
Have you... Okay, but with hand tools, do you think in playa that you could dig a 6-foot grave?
Oh, me?
And how
Not
long
very
would it
well.
take?
Quite a long time, but like
It doesn't have to be 6 feet, but like...
It ought to be.
I mean,
shallow graves do not work
regulations.
out well for goddamn anyone. Like,
no, it's just the animals find it.
of all of the like close enough for hand grenades, like the one thing that is never close enough for hand grenades is like digging down less than 6 feet if you're going to bury something. Like maybe most folks that murder people in the suburbs don't know about vermin,
Yeah.
but vermin are real. Do you know how hard it is to kill shit in nature to nourish yourself? Real hard.
Yeah.
Much easier to smell a dead thing and just fucking dig down for it.
I think you guys are expending far too much energy. The desert will take care of
The fascists.
the vast bulk of any particular evidence.
Well, and also like
Very rare.
the particular weird convection cell that happens with the water under the playa, I think 6 feet might not be necessary. I think if you get it down low enough, it actually sinks in the wet season.
It might.
That's happened with cars. Like cars have been swallowed by the playa and they just go to the bottom. And the bottom is very deep. This is actually a sea. Like sometimes it's just a couple inches under the surface, which is scary. With shade, like our holes go down 3 feet. Some of the times with wet years, like there would be water at the bottom of those holes. And that makes putting up the 4x4s very difficult because we're supposed to put the dirt in and then tamp it solid, but like we're just tamping mud.
Right.
Like you walk into a site and you're like, oh, like there's all the water. Okay.
It never occurred to me that like when Lake Lonhanton is back, it's back all the way down.
Yeah.
to-
Oh, yeah.
It just has a few feet of up and down. It's still there.
Well, even on the really dry years, I'm sure like 15, 25 feet down, it's moist as shit.
Oh, yeah.
Like silt is real and very, very deep. You think the bottom of a deep lake is like where you can see the bottom of a deep lake.
Like, no.
But like it is like 20, 25 feet below that of tons of bits of detritus of dead plant and animal things.
Well, that's gross.
Yeah. And that's gross. Anything else?
I do want to say two things. I have a publicly facing email address, but I only want to hear from anyone that wants to sign into my internet radio or people that are interested in disaster preparedness in the Bay Area. Got a ham radio. Things might go wiggy. I think we have a large group of people that have a specific set of skills, which is not hurting the people that took your daughter, but like, I don't know, helping people and feeding them. And I think mutual aid is better when you plan ahead for it.
And hopefully like 3 of you have guns.
Okay, I wasn't going to go explicitly that way, but that is the subtext.
We need 3.
It is the subtext.
This is Oakland. You don't have to worry about the proximity to weapons.
It's true.
We're stocked.
So anyway, it's Xeno, Danger, Evil. I don't check it often. If you want to hear my radio station, it's pretty much going all the time. If you are interested in disaster preparedness, mutual aid, I'm taking ham radio courses, first aid, and CPR. I took those before, but the certifications have lapsed.
Yeah.
I don't know that you told us what that was at. Xeno, Danger, Evil.
Oh, Gmail. Does anyone have to say that anymore?
I mean, if you're 40 or over, you have to differentiate between Hotmail and Yahoo and Gmail.
You know,
Some of us updated our shit. Some of us didn't.
you're a pretty like tech forward dude. It might have been a Proton mail.
Oh, he's got a Proton.
Oh, I have Proton Mail.
He's not giving that shit out.
Oh, no.
It was a valid
You know what?
question.
I have Hush Mail.
Right?
I don't know what that is. Why didn't you tell me about Hushmail?
And listen,
Because it's not a thing anymore. It was the first one.
Oh.
It was like the Proton Mail.
to clarify that Xeno like
Danger.
morph,
Yes.
not
With an-
Xeno like the Greek,
With an X.
with an X,
Xeno, Danger, Evil.
at gmail.com.
And I don't check it often, and I may not respond to you. But if you seem like a real person, I'll give you the link to the internet radio because it's copy ready.
So do not overload his inbox with nudes unless your ham handle is watermarked on each and every image.
Ham handles, actually, I'm learning about hams now.
I knew that was a real thing.
There's 9 regions, and then there's sub-regions. Those are the first 3 letters, and then there's just randomly assigned after that. It would be great if I could be LV426. It would go with the Xeno thing. It's just... I can't do it. It's just not within the regulations. Sucks. But I'm interested in ham radio as a hobby and communication because my takeaway from Burning Man was that the most powerful tool out there was the radio.
Oh, for fuck's sake, yeah.
And if there is a disaster, say an earthquake or a tsunami or a power plant goes down or maybe is hacked by someone or whatever.
Or some things.
Man, if we're attacked by someone, we're not going to have time to radio anybody. We're the lucky ones. We go out in the flash.
I understand that.
Those assholes in Montana that are going to have to suffer.
But yeah, I'm interested in, building networks of, first responders and whatnot. Mm-hmm. I don't know if anyone's ever going to do it. I've talked to BRC Aid. They're kind of into it, but kind of takes some leadership. Mm-hmm. But I'm into it. And Finn. And, just because I quit the shade job, I'd be totally down to actually go be a roustabout. As long as I know that, like, no one's counting on me. Like, I'm not in charge of anyone. And I'm not getting paid. So, like, if I just have a freak out, because I tend to, I can just leave. And everything will be fine. I just like to hop around to different crews and be helpful.
Was there something you would do if you didn't do DPW?
Gate logistics. Which is the DPW of Gate. Mm-hmm. They're good people. I offhandedly said that at Eli's Mile High Club with a bunch of interdepartmental like hangout space. And this dude was like, "Oh, you can't do that." I was like, someone asked me the question of what I would like to do if I went back. He's like, "Yeah, but they won't let you. Like, there's a long line for that. And you have to know people." I was like, "Motherfucker, I was answering a question. Like, you don't have to wait, gatekeep?" I guess, wait. You kind of do. But, like, I was like, dude, I'm just answering a question. Also, I do know the people. Motherfucker.